Здравствуйте, друзья!
I'm Molly, and today's lesson is going to be packed with essential Russian grammar. We'll be exploring the nouns, diving into cases, tackling possessive pronouns and verbs. Stick around till the end, as we'll also practice some dialogue and communication. Let's start with the spelling rules. Here are the Russian spelling rules, designed to ensure clear pronunciation when dealing with soft consonants that may pose challenges. It is noteworthy that these rules predominantly address consonants that are absent in the English language. Never write the letter
И,
after the letters
Г, К, Х, Ж, Ч, Ш, Щ.
Instead use
И.
Spelling Rule 2. Never write an unstressed O after the letters
Ж, Ч, Ш, Щ, Ц.
Instead use
И.
Spelling Rule 3. Never write the letter YAR after the letters
Г, К, Х, Ж, Ч, Ш, Щ, Ц.
Instead use
А.
Spelling Rule 4. Never write the letter U after the letters
Г, К, Х, Ж, Ч, Ш, Щ, Ц.
Instead use
У.
Gender of nouns. In Russian, every noun has a gender masculine, feminine, or neuter. It's crucial to know the gender of nouns because it affects the forms of adjectives and pronouns that accompany them. Let's go through some examples. But remember these three patterns. Gender of nouns masculine.
Паспорт. Машина. Паспорт.
And
Машина.
are masculine nouns. Gender of nouns feminine.
Книга. Газета. Книга.
And
Газета.
are feminine nouns. Gender of nouns neuter.
Радио. Здание. Радио.
And
Здание.
are neuter nouns. Now pay attention on these words.
Друг.
Friend.
Подруга.
Girlfriend.
Утро.
Morning.
Студент.
Student.
Студентка.
Female student.
Второе имя.
Second name.
Вечер.
Evening.
Фамилия.
Surname.
Море.
Sea.
День.
Day.
Блокнот.
Notebook.
Упражнение.
Exercise.
Учитель.
Teacher.
Таня.
Tanya.
Имя.
Name.
Антон.
Anton.
Наташа.
Natasha.
Nouns and cases. In Russian, there are 6 cases. Nominative case. Accusative case. Dative case. Genitive case. Instrumental case. And prepositional case. The nominative case. The nominative case is used for the subject of the sentence, the one performing the action. Example with a noun.
Кошка на столе.
In this sentence, Koshkar is in the nominative case as it is the subject of the sentence. Example with a pronoun.
Иван студент.
In this sentence, Yvonne is in the nominative case as it is the subject of the sentence. In both examples, the nouns Koshkar and Ivan are in the nominative case because they are the subjects of their respective sentences. Pronouns of the nominative case.
Я. Ты. Он. Она. Оно. Мы. Вы. Они.
Accusative case. The accusative case is used to indicate the direct object of a verb. It is also used with certain prepositions. The form of the noun or pronoun changes in the accusative case. Here are two examples. Example with a noun.
Я вижу кота.
In this example,
Кот.
is in the accusative case because it is the direct object of the verb.
Вижу.
Example with a pronoun.
Она любит его.
In this example,
Его.
is in the accusative case because it is the direct object of the verb.
Любит.
Personal pronouns of the accusative case.
Меня. Тебя. Его. Ее. Нас. Вас. Их.
Dative case. The dative case is used in Russian for the indirect object of a sentence. In the sentence Adam gave flowers to Anna, the word Anna should be in the dative case. The indirect object is normally the person who receives the direct object, indicating the recipient or beneficiary.
Я дал подарок моей сестре.
In this example,
Моей сестре.
is in the dative case and indicates the recipient of the action, the sister who receives the gift. Indicating the indirect object of a verb.
Я помог студентам с уроком.
Here,
Студентам.
is in the dative case, indicating the indirect object of the verb,
Помог.
which means helped. The students are the ones receiving the help, and therefore, they take the dative case. In both examples, the dative case is used to show the indirect relationship of the noun to the action or to specify the recipient or beneficiary of the action. Personal pronouns of the dative case.
Мне. Тебе. Ему. Ему. Ей. Нам. Вам. Им.
Genitive case. The primary use of the Russian genitive case is to show possession. In English, we often indicate this with an apostrophe s or the word of. Grammatically, the definition of possession may be larger than we are used to thinking of in English. In Russian, the possessor always follows the object it possess. Possession.
Книга студента.
In this example,
Студента.
is in the genitive case, indicating possession. The genitive form of
Студент.
is used to show that the book belongs to the student. Quantity or partitive genitive.
Я хочу чашку чая.
Here
Чая.
is in the genitive case, expressing the idea of a part or quantity. It signifies that the person wants a portion or cupful of tea. In both examples, the genitive case is used to convey the relationship between two nouns, indicating possession or specifying a partitive quantity. Keep in mind that the forms of nouns and adjectives change when they are in the genitive case, and these changes depend on the gender, number, and declension of the nouns involved. Personal pronouns of the genitive case.
Меня. Тебя. Его. Ее. Нас. Вас. Их.
Instrumental case. The instrumental case in Russian is used to indicate the means or tool by which an action is performed, or the accompanying circumstances of an action. Here are two examples to illustrate the use of the instrumental case. Example with a means.
Я пишу ручкой.
In this sentence,
Ручкой.
is in the instrumental case and means with a pen. The instrumental case is used to express the means or instrument through which the action of writing is performed. Example with accompanying circumstances.
Она идет с подругой.
Here
Подругой.
is in the instrumental case, indicating that the friend is accompanying her. The instrumental case can be used to show the company or circumstance in which an action takes place. In the instrumental case, nouns, pronouns, and adjectives change their endings based on the gender, number, and animacy of the noun they modify. It's important to note that masculine and neuter nouns often have the same form in the instrumental case, while feminine and plural nouns have distinct forms. Understanding the instrumental case is crucial for constructing accurate and meaningful sentences in Russian, especially when describing actions involving tools, means, or accompanying circumstances. Personal pronouns of the instrumental case.
Мной. тобой, им, ей, им, нами, вами, ими,
Prepositional case. The prepositional case in Russian is used to indicate location or position. Often answering the question, it is also used after certain prepositions. Here are two examples to help you understand the prepositional case.
В.
Plus, prepositional case.
я живу в Москве,
In this example,
В.
in is a preposition and
Москва.
is in the prepositional case.
О.
Plus, prepositional case.
она рассказывает о книге,
Here,
О.
about is the preposition and
Книга.
takes the prepositional form.
Книги.
In the prepositional case, the endings of nouns and adjectives change based on gender and whether the word is singular or plural. Remember that the prepositional case is used after specific prepositions, and the choice of preposition depends on the context of the sentence. Practice is crucial to becoming comfortable with the prepositional case in Russian. Personal pronouns of prepositional case.
мне, тебе, нем, ней, нем, нас, вас, них,
Russian verbs, present tense. In Russian, the present tense is used to describe actions happening right now or habitual actions. The verb conjugation depends on the subject, I, you, he, she, it, we, you all, they. For example, let's take the verb
говорить,
which means to speak.
я говорю, ты говоришь, он, она, оно говорит, мы говорим, вы говорите, Они говорят.
Another example we have,
Писать.
which means to write.
Я пишу. Ты пишешь. Он. Она. Оно пишет. Мы пишем. Вы пишете. Они пишут.
In Russian, verb conjugation includes not only changes in the verb stem but also changes in the endings, depending on the gender and number of the subject. Regular verbs generally follow patterns, but irregular verbs may have unique conjugations. It's essential to practice and familiarize yourself with these conjugations to use verbs correctly in Russian sentences. Russian verbs, past tense. In Russian, the past tense is formed by conjugating verbs based on the gender and number of the subject. There are two main conjugation patterns for past tense verbs: the perfective and imperfective aspects. The perfective aspect generally denotes a completed or one-time action, while the imperfective aspect indicates an ongoing or repeated action. Let's go through the conjugation of past tense verbs in Russian with two examples, one for each aspect. To form the past tense in the perfective aspect, you typically use the past tense forms of the auxiliary verb
Быть.
to be, followed by the past tense of the perfective verb. The perfective verb itself remains in its dictionary form.
Она поела.
In this example,
Поела.
is the past tense form of the perfective verb.
Поесть.
To eat. The past tense in the imperfective aspect is formed by changing the endings of the verb according to the gender and number of the subject. The stem of the verb remains unchanged.
Он читал.
In this example,
Читал.
is the past tense form of the imperfective verb.
Читать.
To read. Gender and number play a role in the conjugation of past tense verbs. The examples provided here assume a feminine singular subject for the perfective aspect and a masculine singular subject for the imperfective aspect. The conjugation would change for different genders and numbers of subjects. Russian verbs of motion. Russian verbs of motion are a unique and important aspect of the language. These verbs describe the action of movement and are categorized into two main groups, perfective and imperfective. Additionally, they can be further divided based on whether the motion is on foot or by some form of transportation. Let's explore this concept with two examples.
Идти.
To go, on foot, imperfective aspect.
Я иду в магазин.
In this example,
Идти.
is used to describe the action of going on foot. The verb is imperfective, indicating an ongoing or habitual action.
Поехать.
To go, by vehicle. Perfective aspect.
Мы поедем в отпуск на мор.
Here
Поехать.
is a perfective verb used to indicate a completed or one-time action of going, typically by some form of transportation. Russian verbs of motion are crucial for expressing various nuances of movement. The choice between perfective and imperfective aspects, as well as the consideration of the means of transportation, adds depth to the language and allows speakers to convey specific details about the action of going from one place to another. Russian verbs, aspect. In Russian grammar, the concept of aspect refers to the way a verb conveys the temporal flow of an action. There are two aspects, perfective and imperfective. Imperfective aspect. Imperfective verbs describe an ongoing, habitual, or repeated action without specifying its completion. It is used to express the process of an action. For example,
Читать. Я читаю книгу.
the imperfective aspect
Читать.
emphasizes the ongoing process of reading, suggesting that the action is in progress. Perfective aspect. Perfective verbs convey a completed or finished action. They are used to express the result or the endpoint of an action. For example,
Прочитать. Я прочитал книгу.
the perfective aspect
Прочитать.
emphasizes the completed action of reading, indicating that the book has been read in its entirety. It's important to note that many verbs in Russian exist in pairs, with one member of the pair having an imperfective aspect and the other a perfective aspect. The choice between them depends on the speaker's intention to convey an ongoing process or a completed action. Russian reflexive verbs. Russian reflexive verbs are verbs that indicate that the subject of the action is also the receiver of the action. In other words, the action is reflexive, meaning it reflects back on the person or thing performing the action. Reflexive verbs in Russian are formed by adding a reflexive pronoun to the regular verb.
Учиться.
To study, to learn.
Я учусь русскому языку.
In this example, the reflexive pronoun
Ся.
is added to the verb,
Учить.
turning it into the reflexive verb.
Учиться.
The action of learning or studying reflects back on the subject.
Мыться.
To wash oneself.
Я моюсь каждое утро.
Here, the reflexive pronoun
Ся.
is added to the verb,
Мыть.
creating the reflexive verb.
Мыться.
The action of washing is reflexive, as it refers to washing oneself. In both examples, the reflexive pronoun
Ся.
is used to indicate that the subject is performing the action on themselves. Adjective table.
Мой.
Моя.
Мое.
Мои.
Твой.
Твоя.
Твое.
Твои.
Его. Ее.
Его. Ее.
Его я.
Его. Ее.
Наш.
Наша.
Наше.
Наши.
Ваш.
Ваша.
Ваше.
Ва.
Их.
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 Conversation. Always remember, in Russian, you address people differently based on your relationship and the level of formality. There are two types of conversation: formal communication, informal communication. When you're speaking formally, you use the polite form of you.
Вы. Как вы провели выходные?
Here
Вы.
is used because we're addressing someone in a more formal context. In informal situations, especially with friends or people of the same age, you use the familiar you.
Ты. Как ты?
Here
Ты.
is used because the conversation is more casual and informal. Let's have a conversation. In this situation, Ali and Irina are two characters, and they are talking in a formal way. Let's see.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Меня зовут Али. А как вас зовут?
Меня зовут Ирина.
Очень приятно. И до свидания.
Мне тоже.
And now let's go for informal way.
Привет.
Привет.
Меня зовут Али. А как тебя зовут?
Меня зовут Ирина.
Мне тоже.
Пока.
And now let's go into the class and have a conversation.
Привет. Я твой учитель. Меня зовут Али.
Рад встрече. Какой у тебя фамилия?
Моя фамилия Шахид. А как тебя?
Меня зовут Джон. Моя фамилия Смит.
Меня зовут Виктория, моя фамилия Свенсон.
Приятно познакомиться, Джон и Виктория.
Great job. Understanding when to use formal and informal language is crucial for effective communication. If you have any questions or want more examples, feel free to ask in the comments below. In the upcoming video, we'll delve into expanding our vocabulary and exploring additional grammar concepts through conversations centered around commonly used Russian words and daily life dialogues. That wraps up today's lesson on gender, cases, possessive pronouns, and the nuances of communication in Russian. I hope you found it helpful. Remember to practice regularly, and soon these concepts will become second nature. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more Russian lessons.
Спасибо за просмотр. До свидания.